The future of Britain's monarchy didn't hinge on a ceremonial decree or a crown's glint beneath cathedral lights. It shifted because a 9-year-old girl with bright eyes and a mind of her own chose honesty over etiquette. Inside Sandringham's ancient drawing room, walls lined with portraits of monarchs long gone, cedar-wood logs crackling in a grand fireplace, Princess Charlotte uttered a single sentence that melted royal protocol like snow on a candle. It wasn't shouted, it wasn't rehearsed, yet it rippled through corridors of power faster than any proclamation from the balcony of Buckingham Palace. In a dynasty often defined by restraint, that whisper of truth struck deeper than fanfares. Why did her words matter? Because they revealed something fragile and rare, a heartbeat beneath centuries of ceremony. Stay with me as we travel from that hushed Christmas evening to the vast stage of history, piecing together how one fearless child may be quietly remapping the royal future. Every twist is real, every detail rooted in insider recollections, and every beat pulls us closer to the tiny spark igniting a gilded institution. A 9-year-old royal just changed the future of the monarchy, and no one saw it coming. Princess Charlotte, in a room full of royalty, dropped a quiet bombshell that silenced even Prince William. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't loud, but it was unforgettable. And what she said, might have reshaped the entire royal household forever. So what did this little girl say that left everyone stunned? And why is the royal family still feeling the ripple effects? Let's step inside the walls of Sandringham, where tradition met truth in the most unexpected way. Christmas at Sandringham is no ordinary holiday gathering. Think ancient oaks swaying outside frosted windows, footmen in tailcoats gliding between candlelit corridors, and tables set with porcelain older than some European republics. For 3 days each December, schedules, headlines, and paparazzi are locked outside iron gates, leaving the royal family to reconnect in a cocoon of nostalgia. On this particular night, snow dusted the lawns like confectioner's sugar, and the drawing room glowed golden under chandeliers dripping with crystal prisms. Charlotte flitted about, ribbon in her hair, rescuing crumpled gift bows and teasing her brothers with the mischievous confidence that has earned her the family nickname, the Bold One. Laughter rose and fell like a familiar carol, until suddenly it stopped. She approached her father, Prince William, future king, a man accustomed to applause and diplomatic applause, caught his gaze and spoke in a voice soft enough to steady the flames in the hearth. "I miss you, Daddy," she said. "I know how much you have to do, but I miss you being just you." 10 syllables, no theatrics, yet the air thickened. Conversation stilled, and even the centuries-old clock on the mantel seemed to pause between ticks. Eyewitnesses recalled the hush stretching long enough for embers to pop in the grate. Kate, the ever-poised Princess of Wales, looked up with parted lips, her expression a symphony of surprise, pride, and something closer to relief. In that instant, royal titles evaporated. There were no dukes, duchesses, or heirs, only a daughter reaching for her father across the invisible moat of duty. William often moves through life wearing composure like chainmail, polished and protective. Yet Charlotte's plea pierced straight through. His shoulders slackened. The diplomatic smile that typically shields him from scrutiny softened into something unguarded. Palace staff later said his eyes shimmered. Not with embarrassment, but dawning realization. He knelt to meet Charlotte's stare, brow furrowed in wordless apology. No grand speeches followed. They didn't need to. A father wrapped his arms around his daughter while relatives sat suspended in a silence more powerful than any sermon. Multiple aides would remark weeks later that the prince began excusing himself earlier from evening briefings. His phone left, uncharacteristically, face down on antique desks. Something fundamental had recalibrated. Kate, whose life has been a masterclass in balancing public duty and maternal instinct, seemed to exhale. Her daughter's courage validated years of whispered conversations about keeping the children grounded. That night, she squeezed Charlotte's hand under the mahogany table, wordlessly signaling, "You were right to speak." Transformations inside palaces rarely announce themselves with fireworks. They seep in slowly like dawn through the leaded glass. Over the next months, footmen noticed William lingering in nurseries after bedtime stories, not rushing back to red boxes of state papers. Royal protection officers logged fewer late-night departures from Kensington Palace. Charlotte, for her part, didn't rehash the Christmas moment. She didn't need to. Her message landed with the gravity of a meteor, silent but earth-shifting. George and Louis felt it too. Spontaneous snowball fights in the garden, unhurried breakfasts where William listened more than he spoke. Even courtiers accustomed to stopwatch precision confessed that the household rhythm eased, trading urgency for ease. Tabloids, forever hungry, sensed warmth they couldn't quite photograph. Genuine belly laughter from behind palace gates, William arriving at school pickups unannounced. Royal correspondents chalked it up to PR strategy, never suspecting the catalyst was a simple sentence from a 9-year-old wrapped in tartan pajamas. Rewind to May 2nd, 2015. Outside St. Mary's Lindo Wing, crowds pressed against barricades, their cheers rolling like distant thunder. Charlotte, Elizabeth, Diana, each name carrying a torch. Charles, Elizabeth II, and the eternal echo of Diana, Princess of Wales. When Kate emerged cradling her newborn, gun salutes erupted across London parks. Yet behind palace doors, William whispered promises of normalcy. Normalcy meant Anmer Hall, an old Georgian house tucked amid Norfolk fields where chickens roam and muddy boots by the door outnumber golden scepters. There, Charlotte toddled through vegetable patches, chasing butterflies unbothered by flashes. Neighbors occasionally glimpsed a future princess splashing in puddles, her laughter more meadowlark than majesty. But destiny never strayed far. Every birthday portrait released to the public sparked analysis. Her confident gaze, the subtle tilt of her chin, Diana's spirit, some pundits mused, reincarnated in nursery smocks. Then came 2017 and the families moved to Kensington Palace, thrusting Charlotte closer to spotlights she couldn't yet spell. Public Charlotte is a study in contrasts, equal parts curtsy and cheek. At age 4 during King's Cup, she stuck out her tongue at onlookers, a gesture so quick yet so honest that social media crowned her queen of sass within minutes. Royal advisors groaned. The internet rejoiced. At the 2024 Sandringham walk, photographers leaned in aggressively. Charlotte's response wasn't a tantrum. One firm, unblinking stare over her scarf, polite yet granite solid, and the press line shuffled back 2 paces. She'd learned early the art of invisible boundaries, wielding nonverbal cues like a conductor's baton. Weeks later, inside Cardiff Castle's echoing hall, local children were invited to conduct an orchestra. Most froze, dwarfed by strings and brass. Charlotte stepped forward, raised the baton, and guided a crescendo with the poise of someone twice her height. Musicians later admitted they'd instinctively followed, sensing authority beneath the pink coat and neatly braided hair. The world truly glimpsed Charlotte's gravitas during Queen Elizabeth II's funeral. Millions watched as tiny figures in black processed behind the coffin. Charlotte's posture, straight, solemn, betrayed none of childhood restlessness. When George forgot to bow at the Abbey's west door, Charlotte leaned in, whispered, and nodded toward the late Queen's catafalque. George corrected himself. Cameras captured the second most replayed clip of the day. Months later at a memorial service, she was handed a delicate bouquet. Strangers nearby reached out, eager for a petals souvenir. Charlotte clutched the stems, gently pivoting away, asserting ownership without uttering a syllable. It was a footnote moment, but insiders viewed it as early evidence of a protector's instinct. One day, perhaps, a patroness guarding her causes with the same quiet steel. Charlotte also embodies legislative change. Before the Perth Agreement, a younger brother would overtake an older sister in the line of succession. But modernized laws held firm, and when Prince Louis arrived in 2018, Charlotte remained 4th. cementing gender-neutral succession for the first time in 1,000 years. Royal historians labeled her the Quiet Revolution. Inside classrooms, she is simply Charlotte Cambridge, wearing the same ink-stained uniform as her peers, giggling over spelling tests. Clueless or perhaps unconcerned that beyond the gates, constitutional scholars debate how her eventual adulthood might recalibrate Commonwealth perceptions of monarchy. Why does Charlotte resonate so widely? Because every public appearance feels unscripted, a candid snapshot sneaking past the velvet ropes. She waves, but she also whispers secrets to her brothers. She smiles, but lets a grimace slip when fighter jets roar overhead. She curtsies, yet remains ready to swap seats mid-ceremony if she can't see. In an Instagram age where curated perfection breeds skepticism, Charlotte's authenticity serves as an antidote. She's proof that royals can be dignified without becoming distant, genuine without sacrificing gravity. Commentators already predict she might spearhead causes rooted in mental health or childhood resilience, mirroring her mother's passions but filtered through her own candid lens. Palace aides hint that Charlotte often asks why during briefings. Why must speeches avoid certain causes? Why can't charities be visited without cameras? Why indeed must tradition trump transparency? Each innocent question lodges like a pebble in the shoe of protocol, gradually wearing a new path. And to think it all circles back to that December night. The flicker of firelight, the hush of ancestral portraits, and a father realizing he'd been present in title but absent in time. From that moment forward, the House of Windsor felt more human, a dynasty caught between coronets and playground swings, striving to bridge centuries-old duty with 21st century heart. Princess Charlotte may never sit on the throne, yet her influence is already steering it. Subtle as moonpole tides, steady as a heartbeat. If she continues to blend honesty with courage, tradition with truth, she just might redefine what royalty means in a world that craves authenticity more than ceremony. So tell us, is Charlotte the spark that will ignite a kinder, clearer monarchy? Drop your thoughts below, smash that like button if this inside story moved you, and subscribe for weekly deep dives into the lives behind palace gates. Because in the grand hall of history, it's often the smallest voices that echo the loudest. And we'll be here to follow every fascinating ripple.